Boxers, trainers, fight fans, middleweight army, chocolate army, Estrada band. I don't know. Welcome to the No Decision Podcast. It is I, Wes Ibarra, and my co-trainer, Jared Joy Villapando. All right, weekend warriors. We have a long one, so I hope all the training that we've done can get us through the 7 round talk. Joy, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right, round one. It's going to be a quick one, but a very deep one. Over the weekend, we lost Marvin Hagler
Mm,
at the age of 66, correct?
yes.
And it was a very sudden death for Marvelous. For those listening, obviously, Marvin Hagler has beaten Roberto Duran. Um, I believe he also beat Hearns,
Yes, he
right?
knocked out. Yes, Ernst.
And depending on how you feel about 80s, 90s welterweight boxing, he beat Sugar Ray.
Ooh, ooh. I don't know about that. We'll see. We'll see. But more on that.
I did say depending on how you feel,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
but
Go ahead.
yeah, we lost a legend.
Yeah.
It was a very big splash within the boxing community, and with the 2 or 3 big fights, if you will, that took place last night, Saturday night, he was honored with the bell counts, and yeah, it was very sudden because you it's one of those names that you least expect to go.
All right.
And yeah, but other than that, condolences and prayers up to his family and friends.
Absolutely.
May Marvelous rest in peace.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you brought up his legendary battles, Wes, because I recently just watched, like right before the show, I watched Marvin Hagler versus Tommy Hearns because that was the fight where Marvin got hurt in the first round, got cut in the first round, and managed to knock out Thomas Hitman Hearns. Um, but yeah, it's crazy, right? Because I actually consider Marvin Hagler. He used to be like the Mike Tyson of the middleweight, and I considered Sugar Ray Leonard to be the Muhammad Ali of the welterweight division, and they actually met in the middleweight in a middleweight clash. And like you said, Wes, depending on how you see it, Marvin could have took it, right? He was busier in the latter half of the fight, but Sugar Ray Leonard was he had Marvin's number. Um, but yeah, incredible fights. This guy was just such a legend, and like you said, knocked out Roberto Duran, pretty much hands of stone himself. So yeah, yeah. The golden age of boxing, he was in there, and he was one of the brightest stars.
Absolutely. And I think one of the hardest things I had to do in my own household with Marvin Hagler's passing is telling my dad, because my dad loves Marvin Hagler.
Right.
And yeah, no, he still can't believe it to this day.
Mm,
But we don't want to linger on this too long. We lost a legend, and but his legacy lives on
right.
forever. Not just in boxing, but also in sport.
And I also want to point out he was one of the very first southpaws that actually had a right hand. Which there wasn't a lot of them. Of course, southpaws, their lead hand is the left hand, or their more powerful hand is the left hand. And so I don't know. It was just so beautiful to watch him. Someone described him as your favorite boxer's favorite boxer. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there you go. He's one of those people that you just can't hate no matter what. But moving on. Rest in peace to Marvin Hagler. Um, the big fight last night, or one of 3 big fights that took
mm,
place on the 13th. And our first fight that we're going to talk about here in round 2 is Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez
mm,
going into last night's fight 50-0 with 41 KOs against Juan Francisco Estrada, who was 41 3-0 with 28 KOs in their rematch for the flyweight titles. It was over the zone in Dallas, Texas. Chocolatito won the first fight. We had our predictions going in. I had Estrada knocking out Chocolatito. And Joy, can you remind our audience who, or should I say our fighters, um, who you had for that fight
I believe I had Estrada in a decision.
in a decision.
Yes.
Okay. And well, it was a back and forth fight.
Right.
It looked like even though they're friends, they were ready to rock'em sock'em robots
Yeah.
in the ring.
Yeah.
And whoever showed up and whoever watched the fight had their money's worth or eyeballs worth
Right.
in that fight. And the outcome ended up being I believe it was a
Split.
split decision
Yep.
for Juan Francisco Estrada. So it's 1-1. So Chocolatito drops to 53-0, while Estrada improves to 42-3-0.
Right.
And to be honest, Joy, um, goodness me, I one of the scores kind of turned us off.
Right.
So the scoring was 115-113, 117-110,
Mm.
and 115-113, I think.
117, 110. Wow.
Yeah, the second judge was 117-110, and we're like, what the hell is that?
Exactly. And yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, friend Estrada came away with the win. So we were both right, but we were watching this fight, everybody, and we didn't look comfortable with Estrada winning because it could have gone either way. And I personally thought Chocolatito somehow stole the fight.
I, yeah. It it felt weird that Estrada won because I was quite confident that Chocolatito stole it. He looked really good.
Oh, absolutely.
I've never actually like this is actually the first live fight I've ever seen of Chocolatito, and wow, like I am impressed. I started watching his the first fight between him and Estrada, which was also a war, pretty much. But Chocolatito did kind of took it, but by close margins as well. But I feel like Chocolatito, you and me, Wes, like you said, right? We were watching this fight, and I had him up by 2 rounds,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, wow. I mean, it puzzled me that the second judge had it 117, 110. Like there wasn't a lot that you could give to Estrada.
Yeah, and Joy, I before we caught on together to watch the fight, I was watching some of the earlier smaller fights, and
Mm,
yeah, even the judges were a little bit off the rails there.
right,
So it was one of those nights, I guess.
right. Even for
And
Braekhus and McCaskill, right?
right,
So
which we will discuss in a little bit.
right.
But yeah, no, I mean, I don't know, Joy, we should be happy because our guy won, but
It didn't feel like
it didn't feel like we got, it's probably just because we didn't get the result we wanted.
right, right. Well, I think deep down inside we knew who was the real winner of the fight. Even though yes, the guy that we chose, who we thought that was gonna win, won. I don't know. It just felt like Chocolatito did lay his heart out there, um, and he didn't get awarded for it.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I could see them running it back literally
A third time,
for a third fight,
right?
but there is one particular foe in the way, and that is Siskaretso Rungvisai.
Yeah,
He's went on record that day saying that he wants the winner of that fight. He's fought Chocolatito before,
twice,
but Estrada came away with the victory. So
right?
if Rungvisai gets what he wants, he's fighting Estrada next. And do you think this would be a good matchup to watch?
Now, here's a fun thing, right? Prior to Chocolatito losing to Estrada, Chocolatito's only two losses came from Rungvisai. So
Right.
my goodness, like man, like it would be crazy, right? Because Rungvisai knocked out Chocolatito in the very last fight, and then Chocolatito did have this resurgence, in his career, and we thought that this was probably one of his crowning moments, beating Estrada until they said until they announced the score. Rungvisai versus Estrada, I think yes, it probably would have made more sense, um, especially when Rongvisai and Chocolatito already fought each other twice, and Rongvisai has won both times. Um, it was a little bit closer. I say a little bit, but it was still pretty much convincing that it was Estrada. for me at least. So yeah, right. That's the thing, right? Do we want the third fight right away, or should Rong Visai have this opportunity, right, to go for the titles with Estrada?
I think just by process of form,
Hmm.
right? Winners fight winners,
Hmm. Rong Visai.
right? So I wouldn't be surprised. And of course, if that's what he wants, and Rung Vasai has enough clout, obviously, in that part of the boxing landscape,
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if he, lines up against Estrada. And the thing is, Rung Vasai can actually win.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. But for what it's worth, congrats to Juan Francisco Estrada for getting the win, eking it out over Chocolatito, and
Mm.
evening the score, getting the titles. And we're excited to see what's next for not just him, but yeah, Rung Visai and Chocolatito.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, okay, round three. It was the co-main event of the evening for the DAZN broadcast.
Mm.
Cecilia Braekhus from Norway going into the fight 35 or 36 1-0 with 9 KOs against Chicago's very own Jessica McCaskill, who was 9-2 with 3 KOs going into that fight.
Mm.
This was for the welterweight titles in the women's division. And these two have fought before for the exact same titles, and Braekhus won the first fight. So yeah, it was a rematch. And I had McCaskill to win the fight. And of course, we gotta represent our girl here. She's from the city.
Right.
And of course, I felt she did a whole lot. I was very impressed with what she did. And even though it was a very action-packed fight, Joy,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it came to a unanimous decision
Right.
and they gave it to McCaskill. So McCaskill regains the belts and improves to 10-2, while Braekhus falls to 36-2. And yeah, Joy, what was your reaction with the Braekhus McCaskill rematch?
Wow. Right. I mean that was an incredible fight. There should be more women fighters in. They could be the main event as well, right?
Thank you.
they don't just have to be the undercards, right? This was a huge fight. Jessica McCaskill surprised a lot of us, right? Like even the analyst ringside, she came in swinging, right? And she was not only just swinging, she was landing, right? She has this kind of very old school Philly shell defense, but she's throwing power punches for it. Usually Philly shell, you're pretty much sideways to protect yourself, but also because you're sideways, you could extend your jab. Jessica McCaskill is just a power puncher, just in general. And when Braekhus started to kind of gain her confidence, kind of gain her footing, and kind of feel out the fight with Jessica, and kind of understand her game plan, then Braekhus started to really employ her jab, what she's really known for, the 1-2. But yeah, like you said, it was an action packed fight, right? I do think that McCaskill, she just built a massive lead in the beginning, and Braekhus just couldn't really catch up until then. And so, yeah.
For sure, for sure. It was, and of course, with McCaskill being the challenger in that fight,
Hmm.
she really, really wanted to win. Even her body
Oh yeah,
language and what she had to say in the pre-fight buildup, like she
absolutely.
felt that she got robbed in the first fight, and she's gonna do whatever it takes to get those titles back. And you know what? She even sure that fight was down in North Texas, but she showed that Chi-Town mentality, man, that resilience, that unwillingness to quit.
Right.
And she
Yeah.
took it home. She took it home. And yes, Joe, you brought up a great point, man. Like, we need more women's fights on the big cards.
Right.
God damn.
Right.
Like, why, Matchroom. See, this is another reason why Matchroom is probably going to be the best promotion label in
Well, that's
2021.
the thing, right? Like they're following. I feel like they're following more of the UFC structure of how you promote fights, right? Like, I mean, when Holly Holmes, right, when she was going up against, God damn it, her name always escapes me. Help me out here,
Are you
Wes.
talking about in the UFC?
Yes, that
Ronda
huge
Rousey?
Ronda Rousey. There you go, man. I keep forgetting her name, but yeah, that huge fight with Ronda Rousey and Holly Holmes, like that was such a well advertised fight. Well,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, right, because Ronda Rousey was just on top of the world. Everyone wanted to see her lose, but
Well,
that's what I'm
which ended
saying.
up happening at some point in time.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, they even brought up in the post-fight interview, like, Jessica McCaskill is now on top of that welterweight division. If she goes down, right, she could fight, right? Like, she could fight more of Braekhus again. I mean, Braekhus wanted a third fight, or she could go up and face Clarissa Shields, right? Which
Good
is
lord.
a little bit dangerous, a little bit dangerous. It's like we said, right? Clarissa seems like she is way too good. But also she's a little bit more interested in UFC and MMA
Well, not
nowadays.
not not
Not
UFC
UFC, but MMA.
particularly.
Yeah, MMA. But yeah, hats off to Matchroom for such a great event. Hopefully we will see women in the main card. Not just the undercard. But this is a good start.
Sure, and mark my words, join this before we go into round four. Jessica McCaskill, I think, is going to be the next best thing in women's boxing.
Mm.
I know I love Michaela Mayer, still have a crush on Michaela Mayer. Marquette King, former NFL punter, don't get mad at me.
Mm.
But you know, dude, her record is 10-2,
Mm.
and she is the unified welterweight champion of the world. So 12 fights total.
All right.
Clarissa Shields got her success in 11.
All right.
Like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, there could be other answers to why some of the champions have, very small but high winning percentage records.
Mm.
But it goes to show, like, man,
Yeah, we need to give more like women opportunity to compete in this sport, right? I'm pretty sure,
exactly.
right? I'm pretty sure if we had the same amount of recognition at like for women's boxers, like the same as MMA or UFC women's fighters, the skill gap would just disappear, right? I think then we would have a lot of female fighters that are just or women fighters that are pretty much the same in winning percentage or just even wins and opportunities to. But then again, I say that, but like you said, right, Jessica McCaskill, doesn't even have 15 fights to her name, and she's already a world champion.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's still amazing,
Right.
because there's not many guys, maybe with the exception of Lomachenko, that can say I got all this success with not that many fights.
Right. Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, Shakur Stevenson is close to doing that, but outside of that, it's kind of like, man. But yeah, I want more cards for them,
Right.
to the point where they're not just the like you said, the actual
Right.
main event themselves.
Right.
And I think Matchroom kind of has the right idea, and I'm hoping to see they can schedule more of that in the future. But
Right.
moving on to round four, it was the other big name bout that took place on Saturday night. David Benavidez, 168 challenger, going into his fight 23-0-0 with 20 KOs against the durable and serviceable Ronald Ellis, who entered the fight 18-1-2 with 12 KOs. Showtime, PBC, Uncasville, Connecticut. For a while, or actually for the first round, really, Ellis took the fight to Benavidez, but Benavidez eventually figured him out and freaking TKO'd him in 11 rounds. To the point where, yeah, Ellis just had no answer for David Benavidez. And as a result, Benavidez improves to 24-0-0. Ellis drops 18-2-2. I did make a joke, Joy, when you and I were watching this fight, that Ronald Ellis looks like a Walmart brand Antonio Brown. But yeah, no. What are your reactions to Benavidez on his knockout win over Ronald Ellis?
It seemed as though like this was the first test of David Benavidez in the first round. Like you said, in the early stages of the fight, Ronald Ellis was holding his own. He was holding his ground, and at some point, he actually pushed Benavidez to the ropes. Now, Benavidez, um, right, he's a power puncher, right? He doesn't have counter punching skills as Canelo, right? And so I was like, maybe this could be the time where we get to see what David Benavidez is made out of. And props to him. He fought and he stood his ground and he started walking down Ronald Ellis. Right, Ronald Ellis looked like he was getting hit with a lot of big shots and he was getting worn out. And so yeah, good on David Benavidez to have the fight stopped. It shows that he can still control the fight even in the later stages. Right, so yeah. Props to David Benavidez and also props to Ronald Ellis. Hopefully, yeah, like you said, he is serviceable, so he'll get back on his feet.
For sure, for sure. And, congrats to David Benavidez. And I forgot to congratulate Jessica McCaskill, Chicago's very own, in the last round. But okay, you did mention a name.
Mm.
Now, where does Benavidez place in the Canelo sweepstakes?
Ooh. Let me ask you this, Wes. It's okay if like you don't, because I don't know either. But does David Benavidez he rank higher in WBC rankings than he does in IBF? Right? I think the last time I
That
checked, yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but WBC is the title that Benavidez lost on the scale. And I'm chuckling because it's like, that is one bad way to lose
Right, right.
anything.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? I mean, obviously, like if you're in a higher rank of these titles, then yes. But um, seems as though uh, I'd probably, you know what, right? Canelo has this upcoming fight. Plant doesn't have anything scheduled as of now, and he's had a spectacular performance recently. So maybe Plant. Plant is probably the way to go, right?
Ooh,
Stay
I think
active.
Jared is looking at a PP, a plant playoff, a de facto title eliminator. Well, that would be a title fight anyway.
Right.
But yeah, that's interesting, Joy. I really think so that him against Plant would be a great idea
Right.
because um Plant has been getting, I don't know, hate mail from Benavidez, for lack of a better term, on the internet. But at the same time, Benavidez's fight was a WBC title eliminator.
Hmm.
The other eliminator being Darrell and Kyron Davis.
Yeah, we all know how that went.
So, a part of me feels like it's possible that if Canelo can down BJS, then maybe Benavidez would be right there.
Oh. Well, that's the thing, right?
Just because of the politics and all of it.
Well, yeah, yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you, Wes. But is David Benavidez willing to wait a little bit longer to wait for Canelo? I mean, there's not even a guarantee that Canelo is gonna fight right after Billy Joe Saunders, right? Because I mean, he could get a cut that would lengthen in the period of his recovery, and I mean, if Billy Joe Saunders beats Canelo, then Billy Joe Saunders is the top of the mountain. Then David Benavidez, I mean, then you're gonna have to shift focus, right? It's not really Canelo anymore. It would
I
be
mean, not
Billy
unless
Joe.
rematch clauses get triggered
Well,
and
yeah. That's the thing, right? So yeah, I mean, would you want to wait even if there are like what you just mentioned, right? There's just so many possibilities. I'd rather fight just to stay busy, right? Just to kind of increase my stock even more. And if you beat Plant, I mean, what's the greater, right? I mean, what's a
well, that's the
greater?
thing, right? Chances are, because he seems to be in a better position politically to
Yeah,
fight Canelo,
all right.
it might be they might it wouldn't be surprising if they scheduled a tune-up fight
Andrade,
against
Andrade.
against a like a Walmart or thrift store Canelo.
Oh, I mean, come on. Let's see it, right? Andrade. Is that how you spell pronounce his name?
Andrade.
Andrade, right? I mean, the guy. Well, we've spoken about him, Wes, right? The guy is reckless. And
Yeah, but Andrade has a fight in April.
right. Well, yeah, exactly. But how much longer would you wait for Canelo, right? Like,
I mean, Canelo claims that he just wants to be more active, so I wouldn't be surprised
ooh.
if they just propel it.
Oh well, yeah, yeah. I mean, you may be right, Wes, but I don't know. For me, I think David Benavidez, Plant. There's been some talking between
Well,
these
that's the
two,
thing, right?
so
I would want Sweet Hands to smash the brakes off of this guy. But
right.
at the same time, it's like, okay, well, then if you're Benavidez, if you lose to Plant, it's kind of like, damn, I might be out of the picture entirely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you lose to Plant, then there's no. I mean, there's no. I mean, that's the thing, right? That's what Canelo wants. He wants to unify these titles. And obviously, if Plant wins Benavidez, then Canelo is gonna go hard after Plant.
No, 100%. And I think BJS has like a different title too that actually counts.
Right.
So yeah, eventually, I don't know. For me, if we're talking politically, I feel like he is gonna like somehow jump Plant just because that's how the landscape works, unfortunately. But at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if the PP, the Plant playoff happens.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't know about you, Wes. I don't know how you feel, but I feel like the IBF is the lowest of the titles, the prestige of the titles, in my opinion. So, yeah, you might be completely right, right? Like, Benavides could be ranked higher than Plant for that title, for Canelo's titles, for the WBO,
Well,
right? So, yeah.
well, right. I mean, well, the eliminator was WBC,
Right,
but I don't know. I mean, just because like I just have this gut feeling that we're not gonna get what we want,
right.
and it's just gonna be something ridiculous that we didn't think of.
Yes, I mean, yeah, yeah. I
For
mean,
all we know, Avni is gonna be back in the spotlight again,
right.
fighting David
Well, that's
Benavidez.
the thing, right? I feel like Canelo is in good hands with Matchroom. Well, he's not officially signed with Matchroom, but like that's the thing, right? Like I feel like he's working more with Matchroom, and Matchroom seems to give us the fights that we want so far. So yeah, we'll see.
Right. Yeah, no, and like yeah, Canelo is basically on a test drive with Matchroom and seems to be like a very good test drive right now.
Right.
But with that being said, again, we're gonna go to break. When we come back, we will talk about the Teofimo versus Cambosa's fight. More details has come out. Tyson Fury. And because it's March, and if you love basketball, you might want to stick around for the last round. Weekend Warriors, we got March Madness. We are now going to do the second half of the No Decision podcast. Like I said, we're going to enter this half with Teofimo Cambosos. Tyson Fury. And it's March Madness. But round 5, Teofimo versus Cambosos. The details are out, folks. And we are looking at June 5th. I had to pause there because I forgot what the 6th month in the calendar is. That's what happens when you live at home in under COVID conditions for so long. But yes, 6-5, Miami. What are we looking forward to, Joy?
An upset. That's what I'm looking.
Oh,
I
the man from the land down under is gonna
Yep.
stun Teofimo in muy sexy Miami
I
without anybody busting their shit on a BMX bike. I hope.
hopefully not, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he's learned his lesson. You know, then. So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be the year of massive, massive, not comebacks, but disappointments. Wait, what did you call it, Wes? I can't find the right words now.
Upsets.
Upsets. There you go. God damn it, I can't. Wow. But yeah, I think there's gonna be a massive upset. I think it's gonna be a close fight. Now of course, yeah, Teofimo. I believe he still holds the record for the highest power punches landed throughout the entirety of a fight. But Cambosos, I've been impressed with this guy. Watching him, he has really good footwork, and he could fight, man. Now, of course, the only thing I don't like about Cambosos is that he doesn't land the cleanest shots. Right, a lot of judges will probably see that and say like they probably won't even count him as punches landed, right? Which is a huge kind of disadvantage for him. The reason why I like Cambosos is that we did see the latter half of the fight between between Teofimo and Lomachenko, and if Cambosos could just capture a little bit of that magic, but actually apply it from throughout the fight, I'm pretty sure Cambosos has a really good chance of winning this fight.
Mhm.
But yeah, the upset against Teofimo when Teofimo performed the biggest upset of last year.
So we're gonna have linear upsets,
Mm,
basically.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think we're gonna be in for something magical. And what I
Ooh,
mean by magical is that um it could be like a Chocolatito versus Estrada type deal,
yeah,
and with the Canelo-esque presentation.
yeah.
Now, it doesn't say where in Miami they're gonna do it. It wouldn't be surprising if they put it in Hard Rock or even American Airlines, which is where the Miami Heat play.
It's probably Hard Rock, right?
But maybe we'll see.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know what Triller's got on their sleeves, but you know, I think this is going to be a good fight. I can't wait for June 5th. And man, we're either going to get an upset or a down to the wire kind of fight where no one knows.
right. Or it could be a
But
Teofimo dominance, right? But yeah,
or yeah, or even Teofimo just for whatever reason left his shit in New York and Cambosos brings everything from the land down under, you
well,
know?
absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I love Teofimo Lopez. I think we've stated that already. But I just have a feeling, kind of like I just have this gut feeling that things aren't gonna go well in this fight for Teofimo. Now Kambosos isn't like he isn't Lomachenko. Let's just say that, right? But I do think that Kambosos is pretty good. He does get hit a lot, but I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. But yeah, I'm probably gonna regret saying that Kambosos is gonna win, but we will see. I do think that there's gonna be a massive upset. Maybe in the horizon. Maybe it's not Teofimo Kambosos. Maybe it's another fight, but we will see.
We'll see. We'll see. But that's the most up to date details on the Teofimo Cambosos fight. Round six. Tyson Fury. So why are we saying oh? He has gone on record via bad left hook saying that he recently stopped training, citing, he's been training since December of 2017. And of course, that training was trying to get back into shape
Hmm.
from being basically Butterbean to Tyson Fury.
Right.
And of course, there's that video of him going swimming on the beach during a vacation, and he does not look like his fighting self,
Right.
obviously.
Hmm.
So, um, Joy, could this be a area of concern,
Ooh. Uh,
especially when everyone's expecting him to sign a deal with Anthony Joshua?
it would be a concern if this fight was already made, right? I think it's okay. Tyson Fury doesn't. He's never really had the body that's just like an Anthony Joshua, right? Like he's always had a little bit more pounds, a little bit more around the waist. Um, well, that's the thing. That just goes to show how much sacrifices these fighters make, right, in order just to make weight. Um, and well, that's the thing, right? Like, I don't think this is much of a worry. We've seen fighters that have a lot more pounds, a lot more fat pounds than muscle pounds, right? I mean, Andy Ruiz pretty much canceled a lot of gym memberships after he won against Anthony Joshua. So, but yeah, I don't think this is a problem. You and I, Wes, we tend to disagree against Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. But I'm not. I don't seem to be worried. I think he's just enjoying his life. Like you said, Wes. He has been trying to get back in shape since December 2017. Unless the fight has been scheduled, then I'm pretty sure he'll start taking it a little bit more seriously. If not, then if he is still in the beach swimming, gaining a little bit more pounds when there's like 1 month left to go, then I'd be worried.
Well, right. And I mean, I don't really think that's the case. For me, it's like, I think in a way he could just really be watching the rest of the heavyweight landscape,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because I don't know if anyone picked this up, but there's, you know, little audio from Joshua Pulev with Eddie Hearn asking if AJ wants a tune-up, and AJ said, "Yeah, I would prefer a tune-up." So chances are he's waiting to see what that tune-up is, and whatever he can dissect from the tune-up, or it could be just some other reason. But yeah, I'm not that worried. Of course, it is pretty interesting to see how Tyson Fury can shapeshift, right? And of course, for those that are worrying, yeah, I mean, I think there is some way to do that because
Yeah,
the last time he took a break from anything, what happened there?
right, right.
So, and how do you how what is he doing to make sure he doesn't fall back into a rabbit hole?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so, but no, I don't know. I feel like this shouldn't be something to worry about, but I can understand the concern given that people would want him to fight AJ this year.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
But we'll see.
Right.
I kind of want everyone to give their take on it. Like, do you think Tyson Fury is letting off the gas pedal a little bit, pulling a Roberto Duran, or maybe an Andy Ruiz? Because that's really what happened to Andy Ruiz. He just let himself go, and then obviously got the brakes beaten off of him because trying to chase around an athletic man in the ring just doesn't work, especially when you look like that.
Mm. Okay.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Well.
granted he's slimmed down in
Right.
the
He slimmed down.
Canelo team,
Mm.
but
Got to be careful. Got to be careful, Anthony Joshua, which tune-up fight you choose, because we know what happened to the last tune-up fight.
that was, well, I mean,
2 weeks.
Jarrell Miller.
2 weeks
Jarrell
into the
Miller
making.
was. Chances are he was going to run over Jarrell Miller anyway.
No, I'm saying Andrew Ruiz when they had that.
Yeah, but that
Yeah.
wasn't really a tune-up. That was just a fight on 2 weeks' notice.
Yeah.
When really most of AJ's game plan was on Jarrell Miller.
I, I guess. Yeah. Oh, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see. We'll see.
Oh, come on,
Yeah, yeah.
man.
Well, no, I mean, look, like I respect
Be
Anthony
be a
Joshua.
be objective here.
Right.
That's
No, no.
exactly what it was.
Well, that's the thing. No, but I mean, come on, like you're the world champion. You should take every fight seriously. And I don't think he took Andrew Ruiz seriously, and he got hurt.
Probably
for
not.
it.
Fine, but then when it counted the second time, yeah, guess who didn't take the challenger seriously? The champion.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. And there's no, and I'm telling you, I mean, like, right. I don't know. I don't know. When it comes to this, I'll stop being objective. I don't think there's any need for Tyson Fury to take Anthony Joshua seriously.
No, you mean subjective, because objective
So,
means
all
you're
right,
factual.
right, right. Well, no, yeah, I'm not being factual. I'm coming from the heart.
Okay, so you're opinionated.
Right. Well, for this topic, I will be opinionated because I do believe Tyson. Right. I mean, like we've said
I
this
will.
before.
I will say this: complacency in the heavyweight division doesn't really line up well. Ask Muhammad Ali when he fought Joe Frazier.
And Muhammad is the goat. Joe. No, just playing. I respect Joe Frazier. I love him. I love him and Eddie Fletch. But we'll see. We'll see,
I
right?
mean, I mean, the first fight, obviously.
Right, right. Well, that's the thing, right? This is what I love. I can't wait to make this fight happen because we are split between these two fighters, right? So we will see. We will see. Yeah,
I
I don't know.
mean, it's for me. I'm more. I mean, yeah, I do want AJ to win that fight, but
Right,
unfortunately, most of my energy in the boxing scene is more on the number one overall fighter in the game, and that's Canelo
Canelo
Alvarez.
Alvarez. There you go.
So, I mean, it's great, but I don't know. It's gonna be. I don't know. These days. It's hard to get behind the big guys, but yeah, no, I mean,
Oh. Okay. Yeah, yeah. No,
if
absolutely.
but if I'm gonna catch you saying I'm gonna stop being objective, then that's gonna be a concern moving forward.
Oh,
Just saying.
well, just for this,
And
right?
that
Just for Tyson Fury. Well, okay. I'm gonna be objective, but when it comes to like these things, like when Tyson Fury, we've said this before. Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, right? Like, let's see who's the biggest guy. Who's the biggest guy in the heavyweight division, right?
oh, for sure.
And yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a little bit more passionate about the heavyweight fighters.
You know what? If that's the case, then so be it. You're passionate about the big boys in boxing. I'm more when it comes to the big guys and fighting. I'm more UFC
Oh,
because
okay.
my
Yeah,
favorite MMA fighter of all time is John Jones, and that's light heavyweight.
right.
So, but no, but okay. Moving on. Let's go to March Madness.
Hmm.
Um, so NCAA tournament time. Usually, we have our favorites. We have our two seeds, a potential upset, and then of course a Cinderella team. And the Cinderella team meaning you don't expect this person to do or team to do anything, but they do something, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm a fan of that team now all of a sudden. So Joy, I think we can agree on
Who the
uh,
best is?
who the number one overall seed in the game is, and that's Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah,
No
absolutely.
doubt about it.
No doubt
You
about it.
know. So now, who's our two seed? Who's the second best thing out there, or the best thing out there, not named Canelo Alvarez?
Okay, this might be where we split, right? But for me, I think it's Crawford. It's Bud Crawford.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Bud Crawford. I mean, yeah, I mean, I could go into why. I mean, he's pretty much a complete fighter. Again, probably the second fight that we want to see made is Bud versus Errol Spence, right? So we will see. It's really close between Errol Spence and Bud, but I'm really favoring Bud Crawford.
Okay. Second best thing out there. He could be the next MP, Naoya Inoue.
Mm.
And that's probably, that's another potential 8 division world champion too, to be
We'll
honest.
see.
Granted, granted his upbringing is a lot different
It's
than
a
Manny
lot different.
Pacquiao's,
Right,
but
right.
I think he's a solid number two seed fighter there, or the second best thing out there, not
Mm.
named Canelo. Um, okay, possible upset.
Oh, I think I named mine right. Camboso's Tiafimo. I think that's a possible upset. For me. Oh well, you know what? I'll change my mind. I think possible upset. Uh, hmm. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders. I think Billy Joe Saunders could upset the world against Canelo, even though I just named Canelo the best boxer in the game. You never know, right? This is boxing. We've seen great fighters fall from grace. Um, we've seen it countless times, right? I think the only fighter we haven't seen it with is Floyd Mayweather. But there's everyone peaks and everyone falls, right? And so this is why we love boxing, and it really just depends on whether they can pick themselves back up.
Possible upset. Everyone I seem to talk to in the fight game, especially my co-trainer, is a front runner. Anthony Joshua over Tyson Fury.
Mm.
Um, Totally not upset about the last round, but anyway, um,
Oh, there you go. I like that. I like
Well,
that.
that's the thing. I don't even understand why we got into that in the first,
Oh,
or got into
oh,
that little skirmish in the first
right,
place.
right, right.
But anyway, um, yeah. So that's my possible upset.
Right.
Um, and who's our Cinderella?
Ooh.
Who's gonna take the boxing landscape by storm, and was an afterthought not too long ago.
Oh man. An afterthought not too long ago. It's gonna take the boxing. Oh, that one's hard. Can you get back to me, Wes? Share yours.
Sure. I believe. Let's see here. If we're gonna talk about Cinderellas, shit, I'll give it to him. I think Manny Pacquiao is gonna be the Cinderella of 2021.
Oh, which division?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, oh, nice. Okay, wow. Is it stay in the welter? Fight Mikey Garcia, and then yeah, whoever it is after that. Nice, nice. I'll give this one to Cambosos. Yeah, I think he's my Cinderella man. I think he has a great story, right? Pretty much like he's pretty much had to. He's pretty much been the little guy ever since he's like started fighting, and he's kind of slowly crawling his way up, and now he has this opportunity, right, against pretty much Ring Magazine's Fighter of the Year, the guy who pretty much shocked us all against Lomachenko. So yeah, if anything, Cambosos is like he's almost like a Rocky type character, and we'll see you with Tiafimo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, no, I think that's a solid pick.
Right.
I think he, you know, deserves more credit than he actually gets.
Hmm.
I would also award that to like if we're talking men's boxing, I would give that to someone like Juan Francisco Estrada,
Hmm.
right? So, like no one really, unless you follow bantams and flies religiously, you don't know who those guys are. You know who Chocolatito is, but you don't know who the other guy is,
Well, yeah, a lot of the
right?
the bantamweight or anyone like under the featherweight division under it, usually like the massive fights are held overseas or in South
Right.
America, right?
And then you got guys like Sorung Visai who has quietly built up a
A
great
great
resume,
resume. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Rungvisai could also
you
be
know.
the next Cinderella guy, right? So we'll see. If he knocks out or if he wins, if he equals against Estrada, he's already proven himself against Chocolatito. We'll see.
It's possible, right?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he just needs a little bit more exposure,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Um and yeah, no, I mean it would be really interesting to see what plays out from here on out in the
Yeah.
boxing landscape, right? I mean, the number one overall guy that probably isn't going to be changing for the foreseeable future. Of course, May 6th, that's where that gets put on the line. You know, you got a you said the second best thing out there. Okay, so you got the guy that was pretty much on the top of the 147.
Yeah.
I got a guy who could possibly fight at 147 one day. Not that I wouldn't want him there, but he could be cleaning out division by division, especially if it's split up the way it is,
Right.
right? And then for our Cinderella man or possible upset, we went to the I went to the big guys, you went to the
Went back to
number
lightweight.
one seed.
Yeah.
You basically picked the 8 seed over the 1 seed
Yeah.
or the 16 seed over the 1 seed, and then uh in our last concept or last segment with the Cinderella man, I went back to our old faithful, and you decided a sparring partner of old
Yeah.
faithful.
Yeah.
Well, so let's see it play out. But everyone else, give us your bracket. Your number one overall
All
seed? Who is your number two guy?
right.
Or if you want to do a women's one, so be it.
Yeah.
Who's the second best thing outside of Clarissa Shields? Who's
Ooh.
gonna upset in the women's division? Who's gonna be the actual Cinderella?
Ooh.
But uh and of course, you could do a men's one, so you could do them both.
You could
Doesn't
actually
matter.
show it. You could actually share your match March Madness.
Please do. Please do. And if you are going to fill out a real NCAA bracket, I'm going to put some advice right now. Take Gonzaga, take U of I until they face Loyola Chicago, obviously. But
This is the
yeah,
year.
and
This might be the year.
pick Loyola Chicago. But this is a boxing podcast. Reach out to me otherwise if you want to talk basketball. But anyway, March Madness, everyone. Let us know. And that is the end of our show. You know, this is a really good 7 rounder. Everyone made it unscathed.
Mm.
Like a real fight. There is gonna be a peak, and we hit that peak in round 6. A little late, but it is what it is. And yeah, that is our show for tonight. And we are really gonna close it up. Joy, I'm not gonna ask you anything because I already know what the answer is gonna be. Sorry, dude.
All good.
uh we're closed now. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. But for what it's worth, we'll have a fresh set of rounds for you next week. But in the meantime, if you do still want to listen to the same two guys talk about open wheeled cars that don't technically exist, drive around in twists and turns at 200 plus miles an hour, check out the Run It Back podcast with myself and Joy, where Joy leads the discussion on the landscape of Formula One. This week we talk about Ferraris. Yes, Ferraris makes those kind of cars too, not just the ones that you see in the rap music videos, everyone. um, and testing. It is the preseason for the Formula One season, and this week you get a chance to kind of hear what we think about of the Formula One preseason and how that actually is structured out. So if you're interested, check it out. YouTube, Spotify, um, and feel free to connect with us on the West Enjoy Show on Instagram. But until then, I'm Wasibara. He's Joy Villapando. Have a great night.